We are now.
Okay, welcome to the Planning Advisory Board meeting. It is May 8th, 2024, and it is 6:01 p.m. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I would like a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Okay, motion has been made to approve the agenda and has been seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay, any nays? The agenda is approved. The next order of business is approval of the minutes that were sent out for April the 10th. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes with some minor typo corrections.
Okay, Melanie makes a motion to approve the minutes with the minor correction. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Evans seconds the motion. What is the correction, Melanie?
The final paragraph, there were 3 typos of some names. Jessica, did you get my email on that? You're on mute, Jess.
Sorry. I did not get the email. I'm going to assume that it was potentially your name, Miss Hartwig Davis, that I misspelled.
No, actually, Michael is a Stinger. Yeah, and Elizabeth is a Rossborg or Rossboard or something. And then there was one more. Oh, it was Mrs. Lawrence Blevins or Mrs. Blevins.
Gracious.
Okay.
Good help these days.
Jesse, you got your own name right, so that's good.
Okay. Well,
okay, so
I know what's important.
so
I'll make sure
a
those
motion has been made to accept the minutes and the correction. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any nays? Motion carries. So with that, the order of business tonight is the Water Sewer Master Plan Amendment. And we would like to have a presentation from the Office of Planning and Zoning staff. Desiree Williams will give us a presentation. The floor is yours, Desiree.
All right. Thank you. All right. Well, hello, everyone. For those of you I haven't met, my name is Desiree Williams. I work in long range planning and Office of Planning and Zoning, and I'm the Water Sewer Master Plan Program Coordinator Extraordinaire. I'm here with Cindy Carrier from OPZ and Laura Layton from Department of Public Works and Al Erb from Department of Health. So we have one Water Sewer Master Plan amendment to review tonight, submitted by an applicant. It was for 8703 Veterans Highway, also known as Albert Farms. I'm not sure if all of you have reviewed one of these before. I don't think, Mr. Blevins, you were here for the last one. So just as a reminder, these amendment requests are reviewed by an interagency team of Office of Planning and Zoning, Department of Public Works, Inspections and Permit, and Department of Health. So we sort of get together and have our recommendation, and then we bring it to the PAB for you to weigh in. And then and we look at things like consistency with the general development plan, determine if there's adequate capacity to serve the area with public utilities, and then make a recommendation as to whether to support the amendment. So PAB will make a recommendation on whether to support the amendment, and then County Council will vote to adopt the amendment. And then ultimately final approval will come from the Maryland Department of Environment. So we have submitted the amendment for interim review to MDE, and we're waiting to hear back from them on that. And we plan to introduce the amendment to council in June or July. And then we'll submit for the final MDE approval after adoption. So as a reminder for everyone, these amendments are not development applications. So property owners typically submit amendments for their properties to be included in the public sewer service area prior to having a formal development application submitted. So oftentimes the applicant will disclose how they're intending to use the property so that a flow estimate can be calculated and estimated for DPW to see if capacity would exist. But ultimately, the applicant would still need to go through all of the steps in the development application process to get approval. So just wanted to remind folks of that. So I'll go ahead and share my screen. Does anyone have any questions before we jump into the actual amendment? Okay. Okay, so I have GeoCortex up for right now just to give you a sense of where we are. This is Millersville, 97 here. This is the Severn Run Natural Environment Area. This is this is Benfield Boulevard, and then West Benfield here. And this is the project, or this is the site here. So it is 8703 Veterans Highway. The site is 13.23 acres. It's currently used as a farm and an existing single-family home. The current zoning is R2. However, the applicant has also submitted a comprehensive zoning application as part of the Region 4 planning process to request a zoning change to C2. OPZ is supporting that change due to the site's unsuitability for single-family residential based on its proximity to I-97. The Region 4 comp zoning bill was introduced to council on April 15th, so this is currently under review. It hasn't been adopted yet, but that is what OPZ is recommending, is the change to C2. So if the zoning change is adopted, the applicant intends to develop the property with an assisted living facility of up to 250 units. They can do so in a C2, in its C2 zone. So the applicant is requesting that this property be changed from, it's currently in the, let me pull up the map here. It's currently in the no public service area, and they're proposing that it be brought into the planned sewer service area in the Broadneck sewer service area. So DPW, IMP, all of us, we've reviewed this and determined that a gravity sewer extension is feasible along, you can see the sewer main along West Benfield here, so that it is feasible to connect from that sewer main along West Benfield. And in addition to the parcel that the applicant is requesting, we have recommended bringing in the two open space parcels that are part of the Point Field Landing subdivision, just bringing those into the same envelope so that they're not left as an island of no public service. So those parcels aren't intended to get developed or anything. It's just, we would be bringing them in so that they're not left as no public service with the other parcel getting brought in. So yeah, so we've determined that this change from no public service to planned service for these parcels is considered consistent with Plan 2040. The designation for the development policy area is neighborhood preservation. So we kind of see this as, it's not in a rural development policy area. It is, kind of abutting a planned service area, and it is, close by to a connection that is feasible. So at that point, I'll just go ahead and open it up for questions, comments, or hand it back to you, Gus, I guess.
Okay, thank you, Desiree. I do want to make one note on the letter that was provided as one of our documents from Mrs. Dempsey to the Maryland Department of the Environment. In paragraph 3, that letter refers to the comprehensive rezoning of region number 4 to be presented to the council April 15th. And that should be noted that that presentation is actually going to be May the 20th. So just to make that correction. And then I will make one other comment. I'm not going to say whether I disagree or not, but there's a comment in that letter that says the planning and zoning recommendation in favor of the change to C2 is due to the unsuitability for residential development of R2 because of its proximity to I-97. I don't quite see it that way, but I'll open it up to comments to the board. So Elizabeth?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple things. You were just talking about the date on the letter, and I think, and hopefully OPC can help me with this, that the bill was actually introduced. It will be open for hearings on May 20th, but the bill has already been introduced, and I believe that was done on April 15th. Okay.
Was it? Okay.
So it was introduced, it just wasn't.
The hearing is May 20th.
The
Yeah.
hearing is May 20th. Yeah, exactly. So, okay, I have a list of questions. So when you talk about no service versus planned service versus future service, where are we in the time frame of planned service?
Yeah, so the service categories, there's no time frame associated with those. It's actually it's a little bit of a misnomer. It really refers more to if a development is required to connect is really what we use it for more so than anything. Things in properties in future service areas need future or no public service. Those two categories need amendments to be brought into the sewer service area. So essentially the sewer service area encompasses the planned service area and the existing service area. And those are areas that, you know, DPW has said we have capacity to serve these areas. And if development is proposed on a parcel in one of those areas, they would be required to connect if they're within a required extension distance. So it's more of a framework for, you know, development to connect. It's not that the county is proactively extending utilities based on a time frame designated on those categories, if that makes sense.
Okay, so let me then follow that up with, and I'm sorry, it's a small, and I don't want to play with my screens because then I'll get lost. The development that is right there called Poplar Ridge,
Pointfield West, is that right?
Pointfield West, okay. Does Pointfield West currently have sewer system, have sewer, or are they also planned, planned? Do they currently have sewer?
It looks to me like they're in, let's see, let's turn on the categories here. They're in planned. So the main goes along West Benfield. Laura, if you know more specifically about this, but it looks to me like they are not currently served.
Well, that's a force main, not a gravity. That's so they can't connect into that force main. But yes, they're in planned.
Okay, good point, Laura. So if this were to be approved, it would have to be a gravity system. It would not be one of those that are required to tie in because they're so close.
Yeah, if it's gravity, it's going to give them the opportunity to have a closer sewer main to tie into, that, gravity main that they can tie into, so it would benefit them, because if they chose to connect, it would be there, but no, they wouldn't be required to connect.
I'm sorry, last sentence again, please.
They would not be required to connect. We wouldn't require them to connect.
Okay. Okay, key on that. They would not be required to connect. Okay.
And just to clarify, we were just speaking about the Pointfield West. Laura, do you mean that a new development on this parcel that's proposed for a change would or would not be required to connect, or Pointfield West, or both?
I was talking about that Brushwood Court and Pointfield West. We wouldn't require Pointfield West to connect.
Okay. And then what about the property that's under proposed for change?
They would fall under the required extension distance. So it would depend on how many EDUs they're proposing and how far sewer is.
Okay. Then, sorry, but I need to go back a little bit. Can somebody explain to me the current ruling? If you are so many feet close to a sewer line, there is a bill that says that if you are so close, then you have the option to tie in. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, so that, I mean, I'm not sure what bill you're referring to, if there was a recent bill, but it is laid out in the water sewer master plan based on, it depends it depends on the type of development and the EDUs and all of that. So there's a calculation in the water sewer master plan that determines that required extension distance.
But it's for new development, Elizabeth.
For new development, which this would fall under,
Yes.
but not for Pointfield West.
No.
Okay.
If they wanted to connect, they would need to do that through a different process.
Great, they'd have to go through the majority rule, the majority of the homeowners associations and all that stuff. So, okay. Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you, Cindy. Okay, then another question, and Al may be able to help us with this, is this critical area, and would they have any grant funding available for the BAT or for any grants to connect? And then part of that also, while you're answering that, is have those two homeowners been notified that you're changing their opportunity for sewer, and how much would it cost them to connect? Because it's only an opportunity, they don't have to do it, correct?
Which homeowners are you referring to?
2 lots that you added on to this bill, or this?
So, yeah, so those 2 parcels are open space parcels, part of that subdivision. So they're basically platted open space. So yeah, I think they're in they're also in no public service.
Are they true open space, not developable?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean it's the Pointfield branch stream that goes through here.
Okay.
So yeah, this is a rec parcel and this is an open space parcel.
Okay, so why include them in this proposal?
So it's the way we like to update we don't like to have kind of just islands of no public service floating in the county along like open space parcels, if that makes sense. So even if there's no opportunity for them to connect, or there would be no development proposed, we still want to include, contiguous areas, so that we're not just having little islands of no public service where there's open space parcels, for example. So it's more about just making it contiguous.
Okay, last question. What has Pointfield West said about this proposal?
We are not required to reach out to Pointfield West about amendments. It's more in the development application process that that they would be notified.
You're changing their open space and part of their, is it not their property?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so because they own those two parcels. Yeah, I guess we have not reached out to them, but we, I don't know, Cindy, I guess we do need to reach out to them. It's
We typically send a letter,
Yeah.
at, before it goes to council. Or at some point in the process before it gets through the entire process to let them know that we're changing the category. In this case, it would have no effect. I mean, they're not developable parcels.
But I think it's important to have open communication and have those neighboring properties involved in the process. I mean, this is the first that a lot of people have heard about it. And so,
This is the
Okay.
first opportunity for people to hear about it.
Right.
Yes.
right. Okay. I'll let somebody else and then I'll circle back around. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Okay, any other board members? Do I see any hands? Lawrence?
I had a quick question. If they can't connect into that 16-inch force main, where would be their connection point? Because it looked like that's where they were tying into.
Laura, do you want to take that question?
Yeah, do you still have geocortex up there? There's a manhole that they were tying into. I think it's 20538, and it's down West Benfield toward the right.
You could turn on the manhole layer if you want.
I have the manhole layer on, but how far down is it? Do you know?
There they go.
Yeah, keep going, like beyond where, like put your arrow somewhere, I guess, and I'll
Not allowing me. There
yeah.
we go.
Oh, yes, right in there, and go
here.
up. Yep. Yeah, that should be 20538.
I think this is 20537. Here, 20538 right here.
Now, let me ask you another question then, based on that. Because you have, I mean, that's a long way from this farm to that manhole. But that developer would have to pay out of pocket for him to be able to do that. And the people in Point West would not be required to personally pay that because you have a new development versus existing development. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Cindy, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What about Crane West? What about, but that's already, again, a development that's already
Yes.
established. So they would not be forced to connect.
Correct.
Okay. And this person who's developing this property is not in the critical area and would not receive any grants or any help in connecting from where he is to the main that 3, whatever you referred to.
So there is a portion of the property in the critical area, but I'll let Al, I don't know if you were going to answer that question.
This is in the PFA?
It is not this parcel. The open space parcel is.
Yeah.
Ironically.
That's one of the important things. If it's not in the PFA, the BRF is not supposed to be available. for that connection. If that's the case, they could proceed with get a PFA exception, which Public Works, we were talking about that the other night at the thing on Monday. They have to go through that process, and it's definitely not a slam dunk that they would get that exemption. So, I mean, I guess if for some reason they say that they were the PFA, like say Brushwood Court, if for some reason sewer became near, and if they wanted to connect the whole thing, they could work through MDE directly to see if they can get a like a large sum for the project connect to that. But for individual properties that what we deal with, it would only be instances where the sewers was made available to connect with that extension. Does that make sense? I don't think there's any.
I'll say that again one more time. So we like if you refer to a property, which property like?
I'm like if that was, what is that? Is that West Benfield, or what is that?
Yeah.
That road that the force main. If say that the gravity line ran along the entire length, I don't know if there's a property that's right on top, right on West Benfield, and was available to connect, then they can apply for the Bay Restoration Fund for a grant, for up to $25,000. But if an extension is required, say it goes down Benfield and somebody on Brushwood says, "Oh, I'd love to connect to that. It's right across the street," but they couldn't connect with that and extending that sewer, we could not offer that.
Okay.
It would have to be, again, something that would have to go through MDE directly. And that doesn't mean it has to be in the critical area, right? That we talked about again on Monday. There's criteria that we have to be able to fund those that a failing septic system in the critical area. But if we have money available, we would proceed with offering that. But like this time of year, we're basically out of money until July. So they would have to wait till next fiscal year.
Thank you all. I appreciate it. Thank you for explaining details to me.
Good.
Yeah, and I guess I assume that point is a pretty far gap in between where he's trying to connect, and it goes right through people's stuff, and that's why I was like, I wasn't sure if that picture before was correct. It's a good idea to put a little thing right there since it's right next to all the forested environmental area. But I just thought I wasn't sure of how they were connecting, and it kind of looked fickle to me because I know it's tough to put something through a highway and then cross a river.
So wouldn't they go across the front of the property and go down West Benfield without disturbing all these people's landscaping and home and try and skip the creek there? I don't know what the name of that creek or river or stream is. Is that not the way you would do that?
Yeah, but Laura, did you want to? I think the proposed alignment was down, or DPW said, I think there were several alternatives that DPW evaluated, and that the alignment would go down West Benfield and then down Veterans Highway.
Right, and I think we think it can get to along West Benfield to Veterans Highway with gravity. Beyond that, they may have to do some sort of a small pressure system to get up to the gravity, but they should be able to get gravity in most of West Benfield. So our recommendation was to extend it as far as you can in West Benfield.
Okay, is there any other questions?
Thank you very much.
Lawrence, did they answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, and thank you.
Okay, Melanie, did you have a question?
Yeah, I think I do. So I just, are there any other ramifications about the area that is critical area? I think that's RCA, the grain. Are there any other ramifications for this property that we should just have in mind with their future plans?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that, they would certainly need to consider in their development application. I think they did propose that back half of the property be, open space. That again, this isn't really a development application, so I don't know what will come through at that stage, but I do think that is a consideration at this point because they would be limited there.
Right.
But beyond
Right.
that, I don't, yeah.
Okay, well, thanks. I think the previous discussion about clarifying the route of that was very helpful to me as well. So thanks to my colleagues here for getting that surfaced. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Elizabeth, I'm going to get back to you in a second. Jessica, can you make sure we had someone sign up to speak and see when they're ready, if they're online, and get
Yes.
them lined up? While we're
Yes.
waiting for that, Elizabeth, your question?
Yes, can someone from the administration please tell me the comprehensive rezoning application number for this property as part of Region 4? And did PAB specifically look at this property during our review?
We'll need a minute to look that up.
Yes.
Um,
I don't remember talking about it, so. I don't remember it being brought to our attention that the rezoning would have to require a change in the master water and sewer plan, is my point.
Most likely that wouldn't have been part of the conversation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have the comprehensive zoning number if you'd like it.
Yes, please.
The comprehensive zoning change number through the Region 4 plan is CZR4 SVP 003.
Thank you, Jessica.
Of course. Mr. Kurtz, if there's no further PAB comments or questions, I do see that the person who reached out requesting to speak is on the call. If you'd like me to move forward with that.
Okay, do any other board members have their hand raised? Let me just check. I don't see anything. So let's move on to oral testimony.
Okay. Ms. Collins, I spoke with you before the meeting. I'm gonna hit the allow to talk button and you'll be able to unmute yourself. Mr. Kurtz, can you remind me of our time allotment tonight for speaking?
Yes, since she is representing an HOA, we will allow 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. And thank you to the board for allowing us time to speak. My name is Ashley Collins, and I come before you on behalf of the Crane West Hillendale Community Association. We would like to express our opposition for the county's recommendation to include tax map 22, parcel 6, and tax map 31, parcel 371 in the current amendment request. In the letter sent with this request, I quote, it's for correcting an error in the WSMP maps by aligning the public sewer service, but that makes sense on a map and on paper, but it's a decision that will cost individual households up to $120,000 if at any time down the road, our community, Crane West Hillendale, is required to connect to that now more accessible sewer line. It is a financial burden we know for a fact that our community could not bear. We've been working separately for over a year with the Our Water initiative to determine feasibility of sewer connection. And the gravity extension mentioned in the amendment request is not a possibility for every household in our community. So in working with Our Water, we also determined that our community is not in a critical area, as you saw on the map earlier. So we do not qualify for the Bay Restoration Fund grant, which again makes it very unattainable for any of the residents, young or old, who live in our community. I understand this isn't necessarily a development plan meeting, but it came up about any other things to consider in this area. And I wanted to mention that just in the last year, they completed work on the Bear Branch culvert that goes under West Benfield. It was a major project, millions of dollars from the county. They did really great work. It took a very long time. And it was a restoration on Bear Branch, which continues north on Bear Branch. And that would undoubtedly be compromised by any construction that occurs on this property that's in question. So I just wanted to again reiterate, we do not want to include those two parcels. We're against the whole thing being done, but especially those two parcels mentioned, to include this so they're not on an island. I do believe it sets a precedent for those open space areas, which our community has as well. And that's not something that I would like to see happen to our community in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Collins. I would like, Desiree, can you pull up the community that she's representing, Crane West, just so all the board members can see their proximity and location to this site?
Sure.
Because it's not Pointfield West, correct?
So is it, is it across, is it on the north side of West Benfield, or is it, I believe this has been.
Yes, it's on the north side.
Okay, so it's
Hill Road, those two properties that start right on West Benfield, and even the third, a few of those. There's 89 homes in that community.
So you're opposite Pointfield West on the other side of Benfield.
That's correct.
Okay.
So why
Thank you.
would parcel, you referred to parcel 6 and 371 as being included in this? Is that the two open space parcels? Or are we talking about some parcels in Crane West across the highway, across West Benfield?
Those are the parcels that are behind Pointfield West.
Okay.
They are not directly touching any of the properties that are in Crane West Hillendale. However, we have our own, and if this had happened on our community side, we would be opposed to them as well, and we would be for maintaining that open space.
Thank you. Thank you for clarifying.
Thank you very much. Jessica, did anybody from Pointfield West reach out to from the HOA there?
You're muted, Jesse.
You're muted. There you go.
Thank you. Sorry, I went to try to change something and actually hit mute. No one reached out to me ahead of the meeting, so I do not have any other letters on official letterhead. We do have a number of attendees in the call tonight, though, and another person has even raised their hand. I'm not sure where they live, though.
Before you bring them in, can I clarify a question? Yeah. Has OPZ reached out, other than posting this online, to the Point West HOA?
No, we have not specifically reached out to them. So in our in our minds, these open space parcels are bringing them into a planned service area does not preempt development in any way. It doesn't really have anything to do with the development potential of these properties. So since they are platted open space, they will remain open space. So regardless of what category they are in, it doesn't really affect their development potential. So I just want to make, and just to be clear, the Crane West area, the Crane West neighborhood is all in the planned service category as well, including any open space areas they have. They are already in the planned service category.
Melanie?
Yeah, I just want to clarify. So about that, mentioning about open space not being available for development, but aren't we going through a process right now with rezoning that we've changed a plethora of open space to areas other than open space to clean up maps?
Yes, so those are not platted open space areas. So platted open space areas are areas where we would retain OS zoning typically, or we've gone through a process to try to identify those to assign OS zoning. But yeah, I don't know if Mike or Cindy, you want to add to that at all. But I mean, our environmental regulations are protecting areas that are platted. You know, even if it was not zoned OS, those areas, since they are platted OS, they're protected under that plat.
Correct. Yes, the plat is provided the protection.
Okay.
Who owns those parcels on that tax map 6 and 31?
That is Point Field West. So we can pull it up.
So the actual
The HOA owns the properties. And just to take a step back, this term open space gets thrown around, and when the planners use it, there's specific definitions for, Melanie just referenced the OS zoning. That's a zoning district that has allowed uses that are very limited in the OS zoning district. And when we talk about a platted open space parcel, when a subdivision when a subdivision application goes through the process, the county requires that certain areas, a certain percentage of the land be set aside for open space and recreation purposes. So this, as you see these red lines for the parcels, this is often what it looks like, where you have kind of rectangular lots for the housing lots, and then around the edges in forested areas and around streams typically is where they set up a parcel that on the recorded plat, that's kind of the legal definition of the property lines. On the plat, it will say that those areas can only be used for open space and recreation purposes. And within that, subdivision plat, that is again a legally recorded document that basically extinguishes the development rights of those properties. It says that in perpetuity, no matter what the zoning is, that's how they can be used.
Thank you, Michael, for that clarification. I think that does help.
Thank you, Michael. That clarifies some things. Okay, board members, anything else?
When you redo the master plan for the sewer upgrades, does that include changing the zoning of the properties that you have also included?
You kind of cut out there, but I think I got the question. You're wondering if this would preempt any zoning change? Yeah, no, it would not.
And if I could add to that, Laura, those are two separate processes. The water sewer master plan gets updated on typically a 3-year cycle. And then the comprehensive zoning for the county is what's currently happening with the region plans. That happens on generally about every 10 years or so in the county. The two might inform each other, but they're not requirements, not directly tied to each other. And Mr. Kurtz, I do want to mention, while we still have the open testimony period open, we do have another person with their hand raised in the audience, if you'd like to call on them.
Okay, let's give them 2 minutes.
All right, I see Ms. Leahy's hand raised, so I'm going to change your permissions to allow you to talk. And once you begin, you'll have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I guess I'm unmuted now.
Yes.
Okay, I'm actually here representing the Greater Severna Park Council. Crane West and Pointfield Landing are community members of the GSPC. So we are reaching out in order to testify on behalf of the community organizations. I have a couple of concerns as I've been listening to this. First of all, people aren't notified. Pointfield Landing, Crane West, Greater Severna Park Council. None of us are notified about this possible change in the water and sewer access. So I'm I'm a little bit concerned. It's like putting the cart before the horse. So once you have permission to extend your water as a planned area, and it opens the areas up for development, it's a little bit too late for the communities that are nearby to be able to know anything about it or say anything about it or have any recourse. So as I said, it's like putting the cart before the horse. The other thing I'm really concerned about is you have this one parcel where someone would in the future like to put, would like to have it changed to C2, rezoned, which probably is in the plan right now, the bill that's before the council that will start for open testimony, which is the Region 4 SAC. So you probably will have people already not having a clue as to what this whole rezoning thing is about. In other words, there's a huge education bent that has to occur so that people who are living right there know what the impact is when you've got something that is going to be developed close by. So if you have a assisted living home there going in there right, in the future, it would be nice if people know in order to be able to object to something or have concerns that they want to voice about what's going on. And it just seems to me that the plane service area is being put out there for one parcel, but I think, as we all know, that it will eventually impact other areas further south down Veterans Highway.
Thank you. That's time.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you all.
Okay, thank you very much. Question I did have, the CZR for the SVP 003, did that go through the whole process, the SAC and before our board? And I only asked, we only had 400 and some different CZs.
Yes.
So
I can speak to that if so yes, this application did come in at the beginning of the process. So that would have come in prior to the initial SAC review of applications. They would have taken a look and offered a recommendation. Then it would have come to the Planning Advisory Board. Per Ms. Rosberg's question earlier in the night, I do not believe that this property was highlighted in the Planning Advisory Board presentations. As I'm sure you can recall, we had a lot to get through that day. And this one did not receive, or this property that is associated with the comprehensive zoning application did not receive much public feedback prior in the process. And so we had a lot of other ones that had received a lot more public feedback that we wanted to discuss with you all. But it was on the chart and on the maps that you guys reviewed. And it is now with the county council, as has been stated.
okay, thank you. Board members, are there any other comments?
Gus, could I point out something I think that, or maybe at least clarify something for the board as far as the process?
Yes, Cindy, please do. Thank you.
So, the general development plan is the document, the overall guiding document that guides growth and development in the county. And our water sewer master plan is what is the implementation tool for carrying out what is shown, our policies in the general development plan regarding water and sewer. Desiree, could you put on our development policy area map, please? So what I want to show is this is an inconsistency in our development policy area. And if this had not come forward as an amendment request, the next time that we would have updated the master plan, which should be next year, we're going to ask for an extension until we get through all of the comprehensive zoning. But it's in the neighborhood preservation, and if you the neighborhood preservation policy area, whereas everything south of it, which is mainly, you know, the Severn Run and everything, is in the rural development policy area. That we would not support a change to anything beyond or upgrade to from no public service. Can you? I'm sorry. Let's see. I'm looking at my screen, so you might need to do, I guess it's, yeah, transparency is. So everything that you see in this yellow area is neighborhood preservation. The purple color is critical corridor, but everything in the green is the rural and agricultural policy area. That is where our dividing line is between no public service and public service area. And the public service area gets divided into existing, planned, and future, depending on the capacity constraints that it has.
Thank you, Cindy. That does clarify some things. And Melanie, I'll get to you in just a second. The way I see it, if this isn't granted, maybe that the person who owns the farm, it sounds like they are going to sell the property, maybe one way or the other. If it's not granted, is there going to be 20 or 25 homes there with R2 zoning that are going to be on septic systems? Or is it going to be 250 senior housing units that are on public sewer and water? So that's really how it breaks down. Melanie?
Thank you, Chair. I want to go back to the one community that is in opposition due to the open space area, because I just want to make sure we've addressed and it's clear on our understanding and their understanding. I mean, we were just told that the adjacent communities would not be required to connect in, you know, if and when this happens. Is that correct? So is their concern valid that they might have? I feel like it's not, but I'd like clarification based on what we've said, that they mentioned $120,000 to connect in. That's, the county can't require that. Am I correct?
Correct. For existing development, they would not be required to connect.
Right. So in my mind, then the community, you know, the reasoning behind the opposition is not really a concern by our regulations. Is that correct?
It would not be a concern of ours for that reason. Yeah, it would only be new development that is proposed.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure we're not, you know, triggering some undue, you know, responsibility or expense on current homeowners. Thank you. That's all.
And as they said, they've been, I think, working with the county to potentially connect their community through the petition process, and it is very expensive. They're not in the PFA, so there's not available funding. And that's, I believe, where that amount, the dollar amount's coming from.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I see a lot of other members, Lawrence, Dawn, Mr. Evans, Elizabeth. Do any board members have any other questions? Because we're going to close deliberations here shortly.
Yeah, Mr. Kirsch, just kind of parliamentary. Since I think we're done taking public testimony at this point, can you just officially say that we're, you know, completed with public testimony, and then we'll transition to the board deliberation?
Yes.
Close the public testimony. Okay.
So there's no other people that have signed on and wish to speak, so we will close public testimony at this point.
Okay, thank you.
So board members.
Are we voting on this today, or does it go into 2 weeks open comment?
We're gonna look for recommendation for this tonight.
My recommendation is to notify Point Field West and explain to them that it doesn't change anything for them, but we are notifying you as a courtesy. And I think they should have been notified beforehand, but we haven't done that. And so, and I understand it doesn't change anything for them, but I would be upset if I was included in a bill voted on by county council that I had no idea was affecting my HOA. So I would make a recommendation that the Pointfield West HOA be notified in writing about this proposal.
Any other recommendations from the board members? This is a tough one. In the tremendous need for senior housing, I'm leaning towards the need for the community to have this project move forward. I will comment, I do know that during the development process, there'll be a lot more meetings and discussions on this whole project. And I do see the need for consistency to include, let's see, parcel
6
and
and 370.
371. But I really wish they weren't included because they are open space and they don't need water service planned service. But I do understand the need for consistency there. But because they are platted and recorded open space, there's not going to be any development on those parcels in the future. So at this point, I'd like to hear a motion.
Chair, I move that we take this issue to vote. And I move that we accept this. I move that we accept this amendment.
I have one more comment before we go there, down that road, sorry. What if CZR for SVP 003 does not change and we motion to change this sewer plan? Then what?
Then it's R2 with water service instead of C2. So you still eliminate the ability of new septic systems.
And the developer would have to pay, still would have to pay for that connection. No matter what, if it, whatever the zoning is. Okay, I'm just talking my way through this.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so there's been a motion to accept the recommendation of planning and zoning for, let me get it out here in front of me. To approve the amendment of to the water sewer master plan as presented for the three parcels, parcel 6, 371, and 399. We're going to take a vote at this point.
Do we have a second?
I need a second.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Evans seconds the motion. So let me clarify the motion again. The motion is to approve the planning and zoning's amendment to the water sewer master plan as presented for those three parcels. That is parcel 6, 371, and 399. All in favor of that motion, please raise your hand. Let's see here, hold on.
With that hand or that?
Trying to look to see what we have.
Dawn wrote I in the chat, and looks like Mr.
Lawrence
Evans
is an aye, Elizabeth, yes.
and Mr.
Did we
Evans
get
raised his
everybody?
hand. Yeah.
Vote? Okay.
Yep.
At this point, are there any nays? Okay, it looks like motion has been approved and carries. So I will say that wasn't an easy one.
Can we, with that motion, have the recommendation that Point Field West be notified?
We can ask planning and zoning to make sure they notify the HOA of Point Field West.
Yes, we intend to notify them.
That will give, I feel comfort in the fact that that will give Point Field West the ability to go to the county council if they have issues with what we've just amended tonight and approved, and take it up with the county council at that point.
And I do want to make a note that and I'm not sure why this came before us today and it couldn't come before us after Region 4 has been approved. But I do want, for the record, to note that we're amending a master plan based on a comp rezoning application that has not been approved.
Well noted. Okay, with that, according to our agenda, our business is concluded tonight. Do any other board members have any other comments? Yes, Elizabeth.
On a total different note, I want to say big kudos to Office of Planning and Zoning on getting their first 2 region plans passed at County Council on Monday night. Long plan trip down that road, but we appreciate all the work that went into that, and really, you guys can't thank you enough. And congratulations, you got 2 done. Yay!
Yes,
Thank you. Yes.
I second that, and it is tremendous work and tremendous involvement with all involved with this comprehensive rezoning. And we can only say we're glad it only comes along every 10 years or so. So with that, a motion
Actually,
to adjourn.
Real quick before you adjourn, we did have
Yeah.
an item on the agenda for administrative.
Oh, the
And-
policies and procedures.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we
yes.
talked about the bylaws in one of our previous meetings, the rules, and we've sent to the board the updated clean version incorporating the comments that you gave in your last meeting. Want to see if the board had any further deliberation on that, or if you'd like to vote to approve those updated procedures and bylaws.
I motion to approve the updated procedures and bylaws as presented.
Before we do that,
sorry.
Elizabeth, real quick, and I thought this was going to be a 15-minute meeting, and here we are an hour into it. But the question that we had was, there was a requirement in the bylaws to hold X amount of meetings per month. Did you clarify that, Michael, in the proposed amendment?
We confirm that is in the county charter. So the language in the procedures and bylaws reflects what is in the county charter.
Okay. All right. So with that, there's been a motion made. Is there a second? And the second would be to accept the administrative changes that were presented to us. A second?
Lawrence.
Mr. Blevins? Yeah.
Okay, second by
Aye.
Mr. Blevins. Let's take a vote. Raise our hand. All in favor?
Aye.
All righty. Are there any nays? Okay, this administrative amendments pass.
Thank you very much.
Very good. So with that, we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion's been made to adjourn. Second?
Second.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All righty. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you for your participation. And I would like to extend some prayers for Van Mason's husband, and for Edward Evans' mother. So, good evening.
You guys
Yes.
have a great summer.